You all know me, my name is Crossan. I've been a Sparta remixer since 2014, and today I want to show you how to make one of yourself. A lot of the tutorials out there are pretty dated or improper, so I hope today I get to show you how to make one in the modern age. For this tutorial, I'll be using my main versions of choice, which are Vegas Pro 22 and FL Studio 25. You can follow along with other versions. The software mainly used by the community are Vegas Pro 14 and some slightly older versions of FL due to limited computer hardware and reasons which I will not get into in this video. I have legal copies of Vegas and FL Studio, FYI. Let's not waste any more time and get started.
This is started.
To get started, you need to have a Sparta bass selected. You can find plenty of these online on YouTube or SoundCloud. The best way to find a bass you like is to see what other remixers have used and search up that bass name by just replacing the remix in the title with bass. For my demonstration right now, I'm going to be sticking to the OG extended bass that most of you are probably familiar with. Next, you need to configure your Vegas settings properly. Starting with options at the top, hover over to quantize the frames and make sure enable quantize the frames is unchecked. Make sure these three snapping settings are on, with snap to all events being optional. However, in my experience, this can make my chorus start to sound uneven if I copy my chorus samples in the wrong areas, so I choose to have it off. Throughout the series, I advise you to follow what's preferable to you instead of copying exactly what I do. That's, for me, the best way to learn. Change your grid spacing to 16 notes and set your ruler format to measures and beats. Under Preferences, go to the Editing tab and change the quick fade length for audio events integer to 2. This will give your clips and chord samples a shorter crossfade so the audio isn't as softened, because your remix chord samples are pretty short compared to the typical clip length that Vegas is commonly used with. You can also tinker around with your preview settings, like the amount of RAM you allow Vegas to use. It's advised to not go above 65 to 70% so the other software can utilize your computer's RAM when making a big project. GPU acceleration is also highly advised if you have a good graphics card. I also recommend for less powerful computers and especially laptops that you enable legacy GPU rendering, as the way Vegas does it by default can be less stable than using the setting. Under project properties, go to ruler and change the beats per minute according to your Sparta bass, and change the note that gets one setting to half. Most basses use a standard tempo 140, however not all basses will use it. Next, we're going to get our source to use for our remix. This can be whatever you want as long as you know the source has good samples or something workable for you. Now, the video and audio codecs you're going to be given will run pretty slow in Vegas, so we're going to use Handbrake to convert the source into an H.264 video with AAC audio. It's okay if you have no idea what those mean, you can just follow along with Handbrake or your preferred video converter. Go ahead and import your source and we'll make a new preset so you can use it repeatedly. Click Save New Preset and go to Audio. You can select the language of your choice if you prefer to use different languages, but I'd advise making them separate presets. I'll go ahead and give you time to pause the video and copy my exact settings. What took you so long? Also, make sure the subtitles tab has nothing on it. You won't be needing them at all unless you're remixing for the deaf. Set your maximum resolution to whatever you need. I like my sources in 4K, but for low-end computers, I'd advise for 1080p or 720p. Under the Video tab, set your video encoder to H.264 and frame rate to same as source. You can adjust the quality here with the slider, the left being more compressed, but the right having better quality, with the disadvantage of being slower to render. Once you're all configured and ready to go, you can start encoding and patiently wait for it to finish. In the meantime, I'm gonna take a piss. Hello class, welcome to Chorus Sampling 101. Picking a good quote for your Sparta remix is actually pretty simple, but a lot of people miss it because of laziness or just bad choices. Quotes sound best if the character is loud, expressive, has a medium to high pitch, feels punchy, or all of the above. The SpongeBob quote we picked is a good example. Each syllable has a quick bump that gives it its punch, plus he's expressive, loud, and his voice is high. A bad example would be the quotes you often see in Sparta Remix custom sources. They usually use robotic text-to-speech voices with little to no expressiveness, low pitch, and zero punch.
This is Sparta.
If your quote doesn't have any punch, you can use Jario's infamous plucking method. So just split the sample 20/80 and then drag the longer part over the short part to crossfade it in Vegas. After that, make the short clip louder or the long clip quieter. Now that you know how chorus samples work, let's move on. Okay, let's get to the fun part now and actually start making the chorus for our remix. Go ahead and import your source into Vegas and start searching for your quote, or use one you already had in mind. This SpongeBob one is pretty good, so let's clip that using the yes shortcut. Now, there's one big problem we need to tackle with this quote, specifically, and you might run into this often if you're working without 5.1 audio. The background music is pretty noticeable and it's going to ruin our chorus, so we need to use a vocal remover to isolate the quote. You can use any vocal remover that works well, like vocalremover.org, lala.ai, or the app UR5, but for this tutorial, I'm going to use uvronline.app. It's really restricted if you don't pay for it, so I'd only suggest it if you're looking for quality and have the money. After you process your quote, drag it into Vegas, align the audio and video clips together, then select both at the same time by holding Ctrl and clicking. Group them with the shortcut G, and now your quote is ready to be remixed. You can hold shift and select both the video and audio tracks, then drag them upward if that feels more convenient to you. Another way is to right click the video track and select the option to create a new one, then do the same for the audio track. After that, drag or copy the quote to the beginning of the bass, and then we'll start making the patterns for it. Start by slicing your quote by each syllable, or wherever you can hear that pop or punch. These are the chord samples you'll be using throughout your remix.
Pro tip.
This will only work with some of the later versions of Vegas. Version 14 isn't guaranteed at all. If you hold shift and navigate to options, you'll see a new option appear called internal. Click on it, search up time stretch, and copy these settings. That way, when you're stretching new quotes or anything else in the future, it'll automatically be set to solo with speech. Now, it's hard to explain exactly how to make your own patterns. That's something that's really up to you and your creativity. But the general rule for the intro is that it should be introducing the quote, meaning the quote you picked should be heard clearly and recognizably before going into the standard chorus patterns and sentence mixing. Meaning the quote you picked should be heard clearly and recognizably before going into the standard chorus patterns and sentence mixing. Here's an example. You can also check how other remixers do it. Some follow this rule, others don't as much. Go ahead and pick the first sample you want to use here so we can make the standard 1-2 remix pattern you're probably familiar with. Remember, make sure the clip starts with that punch pop thing you learned about. Each clip should fill the space between these two grid lines like this. For this part, you're allowed to copy what I do. It should sound like this. Then get your second sample and make it sound like this. Congratulations, you just made your first chorus pattern. Now, on to the rest. Here in the build-up, the chorus is usually a repetition of the quote from the intro with sentence mixing. Sentence mixing is a technique where you take bits of your chorus samples and rearrange them to create a new sound, rhythm, or pattern. It's basically making the source articulate new things by splicing what was already said, if that makes sense. For example, here's the first pattern I'm going to use for the build-up. And right next to it is the sentence mix version. For the rest of the build-up here, I'm just going to have fun with it now. You have to practice, but having a good sense of rhythm will definitely give you a good head start. If something doesn't sound right, just replace it or do something else. Don't overthink it, it just needs to flow with the bass. Also listen to other remixers for inspiration, see what they do for the chorus, and try it yourself. The beauty of all this is that nobody really has an identifiable chorus style, because there aren't qualities that can be easily discerned from person to person. What I'm saying is you could have a fully made Sparta remix with the chorus done by another person or group, and I wouldn't be able to tell as long as it flows right. Now we can try 30-second notes for the chorus after this build-up. Not to be confused with the grid spacing setting in Vegas, it just means you're cutting / placing your chorus samples on a 30-second note grid, where each step is half of a 16th. The term itself can be kinda outdated with how things are set up now, but I don't want to confuse you with that. All you need to do for 30-second notes is take your original chorus sample clip, cut it in half like this, and then repeat the same pattern, replacing the original clip with double the ones you just split in half. It should sound like this. The Epicness bass pattern is the last one you'll be learning for the basic elements of the chorus. After the Epicness, the remix starts to repeat itself with these elements. Try copying the bass pattern here. Whether or not you can do it by ear, whatever works for you. And hey, you don't have to stick to this bass pattern. While it's fine if you do, you can always spice it up with sentence mixing. Do your own thing, be creative, and have fun. Here's what I did. Okay, looking back, it's not the best example for it, but I hope you get what I mean. This quote is starting to get pretty boring, isn't it? Let's switch it up a little bit and add a freestyle with another quote. A freestyle deviates from the original chorus pattern to add a more refreshing touch to our chorus instead of being the same old thing all the time. We can put it on top of the pre-existing chorus to keep things interesting, and it's pretty satisfying when they complement each other. Let's use this quote I found and make our own freestyle pattern from it.
Okay, everybody, we've got a lot to do now that we've summoned Santa Claus. We must ready ourselves for his arrival.
Here's what I did.
Okay.
Now, the madness is a very, very simple concept. Two characters say the same or similar quote, phrase, word, whatever, and they're almost battling each other in a rhythmic way. Here are our two quotes we're going to use for this.
Santa Claus.
Santa Claus!
And here's how the madness is traditionally arranged.
Santa Claus.
Santa Claus!
Santa Claus.
Santa Claus!
Santa Claus.
Santa Claus!
Santa Claus.
Santa Claus!
Santa.
Note that you can still do sentence mixing and freestyling here, and it's highly encouraged. Again, make it your way. Another thing you can do is match the dialogue to the bass's rhythm. It's another way to sentence mix, you're just aligning the sentence to the bass. Here's an example.
Today I'm gonna sneak up and get that Andy with a super sneaky karate move. I apologize, she committing now.
I'll just set up my chorus again and add a little pattern here in the outro, and then we'll be pretty much done with the audio. Optionally, you can also fill in your chorus to remove the black bars and flip your visuals here with Automat Helper. Note that this is not an Automat tutorial, you can find my tutorial on it down below. All you want to do here is select Tracks Legato under Tools, choose Lengthening Clips to fill in the blank gaps in our video, then select all our tracks in Vegas, go back to the same area under Tools. This time, go to Apply Visual Effects, and select Horizontal Flipping. And congratulations, you are now done with your Sparta Remix chorus. All you have to do now is click the S button on each audio track to solo it out and render the audio stems one by one in the format of your choice. Then we're going to import them to FL Studio. Go ahead and import the three, and under each audio file, click the track button so it automatically sets your audio to a mixer track. We're going to add some EQ, a compressor, and reverb, which are pretty basic effects for making chorus. For my first EQ, I'm just going to help bring up the highs a bit and duck down the high mids. Then I'm going to use a compressor and squish it down real good and then adjust the mix knob so I get a nice mixture of my compressed chorus and the original dynamics. Compression can really help your chorus pop more and sound more balanced. Then my second EQ will just act as a mixing EQ if I still don't like how it sounds. Lastly, I'll have my reverb here set pretty small with a high early reflection level, just cause to me it sounds nice. Tinker around with it how you like it. Quick tip! You can right click the mixer track, go to File, click and hold Save Mixer Track As, and then drag it to the other mixer you set up to copy all the settings. And now you're done! After watching this tutorial, you should have completely mastered the basics of chorus making. In my next tutorial, I'm going to show you the basics of percussion making and the rules of sound design for it. See you then. Bye.